Welcome to today's podcast episode, where we start uncovering the story of America's rapid territorial expansion in the 19th century. It was a time when the nation grew remarkably, with one pressing issue looming large. Should the new territories be free states or slave states? This question wasn't just a legal matter, it was a battle for the soul of the country, setting the stage for a momentous conflict.
Exactly. And to understand how the United States reached the brink of an internal war, we must look back at how society was split in the mid-1800s. The North and South were like two different worlds, divided by industry, agriculture, and ideology. How did these differences escalate to such an extreme breaking point? In this podcast, we're going to unravel the intricacies of the path to conflict that led to the Civil War.
In the first half of the 19th century, the United States experienced significant territorial growth. This expansion was achieved through various means such as purchases, negotiations, and even conquests. Notable among these was the acquisition of vast lands from nations including France and Mexico. The country was rapidly covering more ground, but this growth was not just about acquiring new land. It was setting the stage for deeper divisions internally.
That's right. From 1803 to 1854, the size of the United States more than doubled. This rapid growth created a significant challenge, whether these new territories should be free states or slave states. It wasn't just a decision about land, it was about maintaining a balance of power between the North and the South. The North was enjoying an industrial boom, while the South was heavily dependent on agriculture, including slavery, to sustain its economy.
This difference in economic bases set the stage for the political debates and tensions we know from history. As more land came under United States control, the discussions on what to do with this land grew more heated. People had contrasting ideas about how the future states in these territories should be governed. This wasn't just about drawing new borders, it was about setting the direction for the nation's future.
And it's important to understand the geopolitical context of this time. The North's industries were transforming it into an economic powerhouse with a growing population, which reached more than 23 million. In contrast, the South had about 9 million people, including around 3.5 million slaves. This demographic and economic divide contributed to the rising tensions. The United States was almost two separate societies with very different values fighting for the same future.
As we delve deeper into the narrative, the sweeping industrial change in the North comes into sharp focus. The North was undergoing rapid industrialization, leading to a booming economy powered by factories and a growing network of railroads. Cities were expanding, and with them, the number of opportunities attracting people far and wide. This industrial growth not only fueled prosperity, but also starkly contrasted with the economic dynamics down south, further widening the gap between the two regions.
Yes, the North's economic prosperity was mirrored by significant demographic changes. With its population soaring past 23 million, it was clear that the North was on a different path. In contrast, the South was home to just 9 million people, of whom nearly 3.5 million were enslaved individuals. These differences were more than just numbers. They were a reflection of the societal disparities becoming ever more pronounced. The South's economy heavily relied on slavery-supported agriculture, making it deeply invested in maintaining the status quo.
The economic and demographic differences led to a clash of ideologies, prominently seen in the differing interpretations of the Constitution. The South viewed the Constitution as supporting their right to own property, which they equated with the right to keep slaves. Meanwhile, the North leaned into the idea that the nation was indivisible and drew inspiration from the principle that all men are created equal. These competing interpretations only added fuel to the burgeoning fire of tension.
Absolutely, and it's important to highlight how abolitionist movements were gaining traction during this time, amplifying the divide. These movements aimed to end slavery entirely, challenging the Southern way of life. The discovery that many viewed slavery as morally wrong gave the North a moral high ground in the debate. Such ideological collisions set the stage for greater confrontations, making compromise increasingly difficult and pushing the nation closer to conflict.
In our journey through this complex period, we now arrive at the legislative efforts like the Missouri Compromise. This was one of the early attempts to maintain peace between the North and South. In 1820, it aimed to keep the balance by admitting Missouri as a slave state and Maine as a free state. It was an uneasy truce, a sign that temporary fixes could not hold back the strong feelings around slavery.
Yes, and even though the Missouri Compromise tried to offer a temporary solution, the deeper issue remained. The 1850 Compromise also stepped in, trying to offer peace by admitting California as a free state and allowing new territories to decide the slavery question themselves. But alongside this came the Fugitive Slave Law, which required even free states to return escaped slaves. This law sparked outrage in the North and only added fuel to the fire.
The Fugitive Slave Law became a major point of contention. Many Northerners were uncomfortable with actively participating in a system that upheld slavery. This growing discomfort was fertile ground for the rise of the Republican Party in the 1850s. The party quickly drew support from those who wanted to stop the spread of slavery. Its rapid growth signaled a shift in political power, showing that more people were ready to challenge these old ways.
Absolutely. And this political shift led to more intense confrontations. Congress became a battleground, with debates that sometimes turned violent. The rise of the Republican Party made Southern states wary, as it threatened their way of life. These political tensions reflected the country's deep divisions, with each side holding strong beliefs and little willingness to compromise. The compromises seemed more like temporary band-aids than real solutions to the nation's problems.
As we continue on our journey, the election of Abraham Lincoln stands out as a key moment leading up to the Civil War. Lincoln's election in 1860 was seen as a turning point by many, especially in the southern states. His anti-slavery stance worried them greatly, making them feel that their way of life was under threat. This reaction was so strong that it led directly to calls for secession.
Indeed, Lincoln's rise to the presidency was like lighting a fuse among the southern states. Before he even took office, 7 states chose to secede from the Union and form their own government, the Confederacy, under Jefferson Davis. This act of secession was more than political. It was a profound statement of defiance. The Confederacy felt confident because they had a belief in their strategic advantages, especially with their military leadership.
Let's not forget how quickly these events unfolded. The attack on Fort Sumter in April 1861 is often remembered as the official start of the Civil War. When the Confederates fired upon this federal fort in South Carolina, it was a bold move signaling that peaceful solutions were no longer an option. The Union's response was swift as they called for volunteers to quash the rebellion.
This early stage of the war saw some advantages for the Confederacy. They had talented generals like Robert E. Lee and experienced soldiers who were motivated and ready to fight. The Confederate Army knew the southern terrain well, giving them an edge in the initial conflicts. Despite these advantages, the larger population and industrial strength in the North posed ongoing challenges for the southern states.
When examining the turning points of the Civil War, the battles of Bull Run, Antietam, and Gettysburg were critical moments. The First Battle of Bull Run in 1861 was chaotic, with inexperienced soldiers and confused flags leading to heavy losses. It showed both sides that this would not be a quick war. Then, the Battle of Antietam in 1862 marked the bloodiest single day in U.S. military history, halting Lee's advance into the North but ending in a costly draw.
Antietam also led to a significant moment, the Emancipation Proclamation. With this, President Lincoln turned the war into a fight for human rights. By freeing slaves in the Confederate States, it made moral issues part of the Union's cause. It also changed how European countries viewed the conflict. Nations like Britain and France, which had abolished slavery, now found it difficult to support the Confederacy, given their moral standings.
At Gettysburg in 1863, another turning point unfolded. The battle lasted 3 days and resulted in a massive Union victory, with significant Confederate losses. This blow was a major setback for the Confederacy, as it hoped to gain a psychological edge by making the North feel under threat. Coupled with the Union's victory at Vicksburg, which gave them control of the Mississippi River, these battles marked a shift in momentum towards the Union forces.
Indeed, these wins gave the Union Army renewed confidence and strategic advantages. Ulysses S. Grant emerged as a strong leader, gaining recognition for his effective military strategies. His successes helped him rise to prominence, as Lincoln placed great trust in his abilities. Together, Grant and his team would keep pressing their advantages, pushing the South towards a critical point as the war dragged on.
After the crushing defeats at Vicksburg and Gettysburg, the Confederacy was under immense pressure. General Lee's final attempts at breaking the North's lines proved difficult as the Union forces, under the strategic leadership of General Grant, closed in. In April 1865, realizing that further resistance would only result in more loss, Lee surrendered to Grant at Appomattox Courthouse. This marked the beginning of the end for the Confederacy, bringing the long and bloody conflict closer to a resolution.
And with war's end, many looked to reshape the future of the United States. One of the most significant changes was the passage of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery. This legislative achievement was monumental, transforming the legal landscape of the country and setting a new course toward freedom for all. The amendment was passed by Congress before Lincoln's tragic assassination and was later ratified by the states as a testament to his lasting legacy and vision for a united nation.
Speaking of his assassination, the loss of Lincoln shook the country profoundly. As he attended a play in Washington, D.C., John Wilkes Booth took his life, silencing a leader who had guided the nation through its darkest days. Lincoln's death was not just a personal tragedy for his family, but a national one, undermining the hopes of an easy healing process post-war. His vision for a reunited America fell into uncertainty, casting a shadow over the Reconstruction efforts that lay ahead.
Absolutely, the challenges of Reconstruction were daunting. After years of conflict, the nation faced the complex task of rebuilding and integrating the southern states back into the Union. Moreover, Black Americans sought to enjoy their newfound freedom and rights. Unfortunately, old wounds were not easy to heal, as many societal and political forces resisted change. Yet, the path forward was clear: aim for equality and address the deep divisions that lingered, shaping a new chapter in American history.
As we wrap up today's discussion, let's take a moment to reflect on the pivotal moments of the Civil War. It was a time of great division, but also of transformation, where key battles and strategic decisions led the course of history. Abraham Lincoln's leadership played a significant role, and his enduring legacy reminds us of the power of unity and justice in the face of adversity.
The Civil War left an indelible mark on contemporary society. Its lessons echo in today's world, urging us to strive for unity and progress. While we've moved forward, the ongoing journey toward equality continues. Before we go, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Your engagement helps us bring more insights and discussions like this one to life. Thank you for joining us.